And what's up? We live.
We are live.
We are here. I didn't mess this one up this time.
Oh, I wasn't even worried about that. At least I wasn't putting my
Yeah.
makeup on still. Yo,
Oh
yo,
man.
yo, 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 yo. What is going on?
So Ant-Man is what's
Ant-Man.
going on. And it's just two of us today.
Just the two of us.
JBM is traveling, so he could not join us, but I'm sure that he'll be on the next show,
He's
more
in
than
the
likely.
that boy Steve in the chat was
That
popping.
boy Steve was happening. All right, man. Y'all how have you been? Because we took last week off, so
Yeah,
we've technically been off 3 weeks.
I'm good. I Today's my mom's birthday. Happy birthday, mom. We're
Happy
out.
birthday.
And underneath my sweater, I have on a full outfit. My makeup is ready, and now we're not going out, so I'm not happy about that. But other than that, life is good. Got Chewy with me, my in-house co-host, so he's our third today, and we're chilling. How are you?
I'm good. I'm hanging in there. I'm glad I got a chance to see Quantumania last week. Um, been playing video games. I got as you may have some of you may have seen Harry Potter. What's the I forgot the name of the game. Hold on.
The Wizarding World. Oh, while you do that, can I just say that you are the reason why I have not streamed me putting any Legos together? It's not because I want to. It's because every time I get ready to do it, you're there. So I've just decided I'm going to wait till you are working and not as on stream to do it.
It's not okay. Like I should warn you beforehand because I have not been doing that when I'm going to go live because I said I was going to do that, but I haven't done that.
It's
Um,
Well, I've
what
been like, you know what? I feel like streaming today. Watch, let me go and check. He's gonna be on there. And what happened? Boom! Every time it's like our schedules and streamer. I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna make my Legos in peace. So I haven't put them together, but I have not done the take apart to glue them back together yet. So that will probably get streamed at some point. I got
it's well see like okay part of it is that I plan to stream during the weekdays
Mhm.
because that's where we have availability, but I was trying to test because been having issues with consistency on the stream, so I just been doing test runs not intending to go longer than what I normally have gone. uh but yeah, like that is my bad because I hadn't said anything. I'm like, all right, let me
that
fire
is
this up and see if this is working.
If it bothered me that much, I would have hit you and be like, "Can you just?" But what I can also do is schedule because my life is scheduled out for the most part, so I can let you know well ahead of time. I want to do that on this day, but y'all don't need to know all of that. I was just trying to let y'all know that the Legos are coming soon. I have the entire botanical collection, the Lego botanical collection, and I don't know. That's like very relaxing. It's very usa, very zen. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Quantumania.
Yes, Quantumanium.
Can I say I saw it twice? I
I'm
saw
not surprised.
I saw it once and I gave it a 7.5. And then I went to see it again because I was disturbed at like how many people had negative things to say. I didn't get it. I enjoyed it. I saw it a second time and I bumped it up to an 8. That was a great movie. Y'all are doing entirely too much. Not y'all watching for the most part. I haven't seen too much negativity in the Discord, but I just don't understand. I do not believe that 49% from the critics on Rotten Tomatoes is worth it. I think that's rude. And it was a great movie. It was a lot of fun. And it set up the future of the MCU, in my opinion.
Yeah, I have to echo that sentiment because I looked at I saw a side by side comparison. Someone posted the Rotten Tomatoes review of like I think it was like a 40, 49, 48 when I saw it, and then the audience score right next to it was at an 84, and I was like, oh, okay, well the audience score is 84, then I know. I think I've come to the conclusion that the critics are fatigued of superhero movies because it's like when was the last time they gave a high rating to a was it what the Batman I think was the last superhero movie I remember them giving any type of agreeable rating for.
I honestly haven't. I honestly don't check Rotten Tomatoes too much, except for like when I'm hearing crazy things. What did they give Black Panther?
That, you know, that might have been in the 80s, 90s as well. That might have been high. I didn't check the reviews. Honestly, I didn't care about the reviews for Black Panther. I was going to see that movie regardless. Uh,
They gave Wakanda Forever an 84, so that's
yeah,
not.
I thought it was in the 80s. I
You
thought
might be
so.
right then. It might have stopped with the Batman.
Yeah,
I
I think that the overall the movie critics are just tired of seeing Marvel and comic book movies, but Marvel movies because they're the ones that show in volume.
I can see how I can see that a little bit, except due to COVID, there was like a backlog of movies. There were a bunch of films that came out last year that were not superhero related.
Yeah,
So maybe they've just seen too much. I also feel like after Endgame and Infinity War, the world is just feeling like no one can top those movies. And although I agree it would be really difficult, there were almost 15 years worth of setup to build to those movies.
yeah,
We're not going to have anything like that for a while. So let's not judge these movies against that. I know when we rate movies, we rate them whether or not we want to watch them over another movie. But that's still not a fair way to rate them on a scale of 0 to 100.
hmm hmm
Like, it should be about, did you enjoy this movie? Did it invoke something in you? Not just, I'm tired of seeing this. I don't think that's fair. And it makes me mad too for everybody who worked on the movies.
yeah, yeah. Same. I feel the same because I know, you know, those. It's not easy. I know from experience, it's not easy making movies. Those in TV shows. So like the people behind the scenes, um, you know, you're attached to the critique of the movies because you worked on it. But enough with the critiques. Like, what did we think about it? What did you like about the movie?
I loved that it was fun. I think the fact that Ant-Man is his name is Ant-Man, I don't expect such a serious film from him. I expect something quirky, something crazy, and I think I got both. I got a quirky movie with a lot of serious undertones. This one was darker. Yes, there was a lot of comedy. There was also a lot of foul language, which I liked, and there was just some serious stuff going on. Like, yeah, they made time for the jokes, but they also were like, yo, this is a really big problem we have going on. This dude is crazy. We have to get him out of here. And I think they handled it well. I liked that the ants came to save the day. The name of the movie is Ant-Man. There should have been more ants, and we got the ants at the end. I loved, what's his daughter's name? Cassie. Cassie got
Yeah,
on my nerves a little bit, but I will say my gauge for children acting a fool right now is focused on Last of Us right now, and Ellie is, that's her name, right? Ellie has acted enough of a
yeah.
fool for everybody, so I'm gonna give Cassie a little bit of grace. Also, shame on what's the mom's name? The grandma.
Oh man,
I'm having a brain fart. I'll look
yeah,
it
me
up.
too.
Uh, shame on her. Everything that happened is her fault. If we ever want to place blame, everything that happened is her fault, because they could have stayed at home fine. Cassie would have never built the machine, would have never set the signal if she was open and honest with her husband and her family. So shame on her.
Yeah, yeah. That was
Like, how
she
you
definitely.
and you didn't tell them?
Yeah, she definitely dropped the ball on that one. Uh, yeah, Janet. Thanks,
Janet,
Mike.
thank you, Mike.
Um, yeah, yeah. I okay. So for me, I thought this was a great movie, and one one of my critiques of Thor: Love and Thunder was that they went overboard with the comedy, and a lot of it did not land. It didn't stick. They stayed within for this movie Ant Man. They stayed within what we come to expect from an Ant Man movie as far as the levity, but they balanced it well with action and suspense and like a lot of character development as well. Like I really appreciated how they helped to grow these characters and the relationships between the characters. Like that's something that's very important moving forward, for Marvel to do, is to continue to evolve these characters and show that they are growing, um, over time, while also introducing new characters and new threats and new, um, just like new adventures, like new things for the audience to discover. And I feel like the I couldn't help but leaving the theater thinking about Multiverse of Madness, and I feel like that this movie should have come out before Multiverse of Madness. I think that that might have helped that movie, because to me, this is setting the foundation for what's to come as far as like who the next big bad is, which we got with King. Like, and Jonathan Majors absolutely knocked it out of the park. Like he was phenomenal in this movie. He is a very different type of villain from Thanos, yet he still poses the same level of threat, um, which I like because he's distinguished from Thanos in that regard. Like, you don't have to, after you see this movie, you it's hard to imagine, uh, a bigger threat than what they're getting ready to face with him. He feels like he's going to fill that role, or the void that Thanos leaves after the Infinity Saga behind. So like, I'm very much looking forward to seeing more, with King. I knew that he was great for the role, and I'm just happy that he knocked it out the park.
I disagree a little bit about the Doctor Strange part. I think the movies had different roles. I just think that Ant-Man executed theirs a little bit better. I think both the most recent Spider-Man movie and the Doctor Strange movie, the responsibility of those films should have been to explain the negative effect of messing with time, of
Mm-hmm,
changing
mm-hmm.
time. That's where those were important. Just like the Loki show was pivotal for explaining timelines. I was having a conversation with my mom because she was asking questions because she did not watch Loki. And I said, every question that you had from this movie about the timelines and about variance is explained in Loki. And I think Spider Man and Doctor Strange, their purpose was just to explain what happens when you mess with time, what happens when you encroach on other universes, and when you're doing the wrong things in those universes. While this show was supposed to explain, now we have a villain who's capable of moving in and out of different universes, who's communicating with different versions of himself. So I wouldn't say, I agree that there were problems with Doctor Strange, but I don't think this movie coming out before them would have fixed it.
When did Loki came out in 22 or 21? Maybe that's what needed a shift. That probably is what should have shifted. Like, these Quantumania and Loki should have come out closer together, in my opinion. Than
2021.
Yeah, that's too far away, because this is, has more of a direct connection to Loki than any of the other movies do, and they're dealing with the same, existential threat as well. Like, having I know they needed to fill that slot, but if these movies could have come out within a quarter of one another, within, like, 3 months of each other, I think it would have been fantastic, because as soon as Loki, like, not come out within a quarter, but like if Loki season finale came out 3 months ago, that could have, gotten a lot of people hype for Quantumania, because a lot of the hardcore fan base that, watched Loki and got that revelation at the end, would have hyped up a bunch of people to go watch Loki before going to see this movie. And then seeing this movie, you would got all the connections, but they're so disjointed, they're so far apart that you don't necessarily make that connection like automatically. Like, 21 was a while ago. It does feel recent. That was during the COVID years, but like that was a while ago now.
I agree with that. I think Disney should at least have made a push for Loki again.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
just
I
like
agree with
how
that.
I don't know if people have noticed, but I'll use True Blood as example. HBO's True Blood, which was out years ago, is now airing on TNT. It's on Hulu. It's on a bunch of other streaming platforms, and they're posting ads for it again. They've even made a podcast because they recognize that they have a lot of old content that can be
Hmm.
brought forth again, and people can, start paying a little bit more attention to it. I feel like Loki was good enough of a show to maybe even be on another platform, or at the very least, just start promoting it.
Yeah,
I feel like Disney puts things on Disney Plus. They'll promote it for about 3 weeks, and then it's a wrap. I have not seen a commercial for Black Panther in about a week.
yeah,
And that might not be a good thing where there are still people who want to watch that film. So if they were smart, they would start promoting Loki again. Especially because the more that you go through these films, I think they are doing a great job of making them standalone films, but as far as explaining the timeline and how that works, people need to watch Loki. Otherwise, they're just going to be left out in a way that I don't know that they can recover from on their own.
yeah, yeah. I agree. It does more than any of the shows thus far. We'll have to see how the other ones go, but the Loki definitely has more implications into the future of the MCU, but more directly into this movie. Like these go hand in hand. Um it's like Rogue One and Andor. Like
Right.
you kind of want to see Andor before you watch uh or you want to watch Rogue One before you see Andor because you understand where the characters are coming from. Not that you can't, but because they did a really good job of making that show in the movie stand on its own. But it's very important to get an understanding of where this how this all ties together,
Right.
and like having that. Like imagine if they would have released Loki in the fall of 22 and then had a press tour with both the cast of Loki and Quantumania leading up to the release of Quantumania in theaters. Like that would have been an amazing marketing push for the movie, as well as get more eyes onto the show
Yeah.
leading up to it. Because at that point, you could have binge watched, um, like I mean, January, February, you could have binge watched Loki,
Right.
knowing that okay, well, Quantumania is coming out. We need to see Loki so that we have a little bit better understanding of what's going to happen in this movie because there are some connections that are very important for the audience to make within the movie. Not so much that you won't understand the movie without seeing Loki, but it does help. It's a nice aid to it.
Right. I have a question that seems to be a hot topic right now. How did you feel about Modoc?
That's like a low point of that movie for me. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like that was
In the
honestly that if I that alone docks a point for me because I think I put it at about an 8 overall as well. Seven and a half to 8. But Modoc for me, that's it's a full point docked from it because that was completely weird and it felt so forced and unnecessary and the CGI was horrible. Like it was bad. And like the every time I saw Modoc on screen, I kept thinking about James Cameron's quote about how the CGI in the Marvel movies is terrible in comparison to Avatar, and it was just like a big glaring example of that every time that character came on screen.
What bothers me is, and I will say this, I didn't care too much. I thought the character was funny. I don't disagree that the CGI was weird, but I'm also coming from I like the fun weird stuff. But I can agree that it looks crazy, and I don't think it was like a, oh, let's just cut a corner. I think their standard for CGI, like now that after just seeing it, their standard is just lower. They
Yeah,
have a lower standard for what they want to put out. They could have worked harder to, although they wanted, because I can tell they wanted to at least keep the same features, but just stretching his head out there was really, really lazy.
Yeah, yeah.
And
It
I'm
was
sorry,
clearly stretched.
that's what they wanted to show us. That's just what they wanted to give us. That they were happy putting that there.
Yeah, and it's not like I it fit because of the movie and the character that we're dealing with. It wasn't as jarring. But if this were like if this were like Black Panther or like another movie in the property that's a little bit more serious in tone, that would have been like really bad and off putting. But like there's a level of goofiness and silliness with Ant-Man in the two movies that preceded that like is a part of what I expect from an Ant-Man movie. So like it didn't necessarily bother me all that much. So
Yeah.
like I it wasn't it's not like he was overbearing and he wasn't the center of attention. Like I honestly don't know if I don't I he didn't add much to the movie overall. Like if you took all of his scenes out and the interactions, like I don't really think it adds anything to the movie.
It doesn't take away from it either. I think he's just
Yeah,
purely there as comedic relief. And actually, now that
yeah,
I think about it, the character that didn't have any holes, the little jelly looking dude,
yes,
he probably had better comedic relief, but also they probably paid more attention to his design than anybody else. The fact that he was translucent, you could see right through him, but he still didn't look out of place. Meanwhile, Modoc's face is taking away from what I would argue his body and everything. I don't think the CGI there was bad at all. I think they
yeah. It
paid
was just the face.
attention to detail. It was just the face where they
Yeah,
fell.
yeah. It was the face that looked like it wasn't. He's not supposed to be proportionate. Like it is supposed to be, but it clearly looks like it was stretched across a screen and not they modeled properly.
Do you feel that they could have made the face look more comic book accurate while still having that character be Darren?
I don't think it was important for us to be able to recognize that it was Darren. Like I don't see the importance, not visually. Like it would have been more impactful to see like him genetically like more altered to fit into that kind of like I mean like Anakin in um the Darth Vader suit, like when they take the mask off, like, and I know that this is in reverse but or whatever, but you don't really recognize Anakin as Vader after post all of the scarring and all that stuff behind the mask. Like it I don't think it adds necessarily. I don't think that was that important to make him look like Darren. Like it's to make that connection for the characters. Like if the characters for the characters to pick up on that it was Darren before we did as an audience, and then they reveal it in that way, that would have been more. Got a helicopter flying over. Um,
And they did a flashback back to the first movie
and
also.
that's what we needed. Like we didn't need him to look like Darren. Like what I'm saying. Like Thanos kind of looks like the actor. What's his name? I forget the actor's name.
Brain farts all around the town right now.
Yeah, but like there's a it Thanos resembles the actor, but
Brolin.
doesn't look like John Brolin doesn't look exactly like him. Like like he has his essence, and I feel like they made too much of an effort to make him look like Darren instead of make him look like Modoc, and then impose some of Darren's features onto Modoc. Yeah, I guess that's a better way of saying it. Like make Modoc and then impose some of Darren's features onto Modoc.
Outside of Modoc, is there anything in the movie that you just felt you could do without?
Um, I mean, I not really. I think that was what's what Bill Murray, his character, not necessary.
I feel like that was a waste of a
Yeah,
cameo.
wait,
I
big
think
waste of a cameo.
he
Like,
outshined his character.
yeah, like it. I don't mind. It's not that I have a problem with Murray showing up in the movie. It's just that them using Bill Murray for that character was just kind of a waste to me. Like he 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 was really insignificant. Like it was a moment where they were creating some drama because Janet was down in the quantum realm for 30 years and they had a entanglement down there, and I get it, but like I mean that's a waste of Bill Murray's talent, in my opinion. Just to have him in there for that type of thing. I mean, you could throw in any actor for that. Like it's if he were more a more significant character, I would have appreciated that more because it's Bill Murray.
Um, I don't know if I necessarily want to get rid of these characters, but there were a few new characters that we met in this film. The woman who was fire with her axe sword situation, the guy whose forehead was vibrating, when, who could read minds, and then of
Yeah.
course the character that I liked with the goo. I would like to see them again. And it would kind of make me sad that if we just are going to experience these characters for one movie and one movie only, I would hope that they can go back again, because otherwise, that was just a waste of just some really cool ideas. Also, Old Girl, sorry, I don't know the people's names, y'all. I usually do better with that. She was kicking A.
Hmm.
She was really fighting. And if they're going to need to fight, uh, I almost called him Thanos. Kang again? They're gonna need a her. They're
Yeah.
gonna need more people. I do like that this movie made Ant-Man a leader. Like when you think about let's go back to Infinity War. We needed Thor to say, like, I met Thanos. He is serious and we should all be afraid. Like we needed something like that. For this movie, definitely Loki knows, but Loki doesn't even know what um, Ant Man knows.
Yeah.
Like Ant Man has become a leader simply because of the knowledge that he has, that he gained in this battle, and he is going to be really important. Not just the movie itself, but his character. He is going to have to be the one to set up the Avengers to fight this man. He's the only person who knows. So I kind of liked that he's now in that position.
Yeah, I'm curious about how they handle that in the future as well. Like, are they going to wait for an Avengers movie for Scott to come forward and talk about Kang, or are we going to get him, you know, being a little bit more proactive in trying to warn the, the Avengers about the possible threat of Kang and what he discovered in the quantum realm? Because there's while and where this is definitely spoiler territory, while they did um take care of the threat in the quantum realm, that's not the end of it by far, by a long shot. And that's not even you technically we don't even know if they did or not. That's still kind of a mystery,
I don't
but
think
it
he's
did
gone.
reveal that you have all of the multiversal versions of Kang out there waiting for, or not waiting, but plotting and planning to do something major. So, you know, there was a veiled threat there at the end from King about what's to come, and it would just be weird. It's like it's a repeat of what you said about Thor with Ant-Man, if he just sits on that information until the next Avenger movie.
I think Scott genuinely believes that the threat was dealt with because he does not know about the different timelines. He does not know about variants. Although I agree with you that as an Avenger, he needs to report in. Any type of crazy battle you go through, you just save the world from somebody. You need to share that. But he may not realize that this is a big deal because there are a million more versions of him and anyone could be showing up. There's probably one in his universe that he doesn't know about.
Yeah, yeah, there's definitely one in his universe. That's
I
for sure.
It's probably going to take either a king appearing, or I would even argue Loki appearing. Like somebody is going to have to mention Kang for him to step up, and I hope that happens soon.
Yeah. Hope. Well, I for Loki is the other option for sure, but he's. I almost feel like Loki is going to be the one that does at this point because he's the one that has the most knowledge of the threat of Kang because he is aware of the multiverse. He is aware of the timeline breaking down, and he met the He Who Remains. Like he knows more than Ant Man does. To your point, because Ant Man has no idea about the multiverse. Like Loki's been there. He's experienced all of it. That was the whole point of the entire Loki show, was to showcase all of that. So like it is between Loki, but Loki is trapped. He doesn't know how to get back to the 616. That's the only problem.
And
Um,
the thing that makes me nervous about Loki is in 616, Loki is still not trusted. Yes, he died for his brother, but does everybody know that he's like redeemed himself? He's gonna show up and they're gonna be like, now we got to deal with you again. And
yeah,
he's gonna be like, no, 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 no. I have important information to tell you. They're gonna be like, we don't want to hear it.
he's
So that's
he's
something that
got to
you have to battle with. He has to figure that out.
he would have to find Thor and convince Thor first, and then like which maybe I that might that might save the Thor franchise, to be honest. Like because they've really got to get a new director for Thor. Like I is he, he's under delivering for me at this current juncture. Like we still, it's so weird that they seem to struggle with having these overpowered, well, not really overpowered, but these like the super powerful characters. They have a real hard time executing, like Thor, like, which makes me nervous for someone like Storm and the other X-Men, because these are like really super powered, high powered characters that need like to have their, there's tiers to this superhero thing, and like within Marvel, like there's different tiers. Even within the X-Men, there's different classes of X-Men. Like, from your like more common X-Men to like Omega level threat, you know type of X-Men, like, and same thing with all the other superheroes. And like hopefully they can handle this hierarchy. I think because we are getting into more cosmic threats, which would, this is where they should be stepping into people that are on Thor's level of power, that they need him more so than anything, and characters of that caliber and higher, to deal with some of these threats that are pending, King included. So like I I don't know. I'm very curious to see how this plays out.
I think what can save Thor is leaning on Norse mythology. When Shang-Chi came out, we stated that that movie was
Mm-hmm.
great because, they leaned in on cultural references. And that's the problem with the Thor movies. They've kind of ignored them. They hint at them a couple of times. They might use actual Norse gods' names, but that's it. We know that they're trying to set up Thor versus Hercules at some point. There's so much history between the Roman gods, Greek gods, and the Norse mythology. They can go crazy with that. And that's another thing. Thor has not been battling people on his level. Thor versus Hercules is probably a big deal. With the other gods involved, that's a little bit more of a matched fight. That's what we need from a Thor movie. I know we want to bring Thor into Kang and all that stuff. Side note, there's no way Kang doesn't know about, what's that place called? Olympus, where all the gods are?
Yeah, Olympus.
There's no way Kang doesn't know about that. And I'm wondering if he probably has a variant there now. So that might be a way to bring it up. But that's what I want to see from a Thor movie. We need to have him in a battle of substance. He needs to be fighting someone who is on his level.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing though, right? With King, it's he is a Fantastic Four villain traditionally, and he's the antithesis to Reed Richards. Like, because Reed Richards is the character that's really on his level as far as intellect goes, and he's the one because you have to outsmart King. Like, you're not just going to brute force King. Like, you can defeat King if you can outsmart him. Like, that's how you're going to beat King. Like, you're not going to do it with just like they would definitely need a Tony Stark in this fight because of him being able. You need that. You need his mind. You need the mind of a Tony Stark. You need the mind of a Bruce Banner, and you need a Reed Richards to combat King. And because you've got to think 10 steps ahead of him because he's going to be 100 steps everybody else. Like he said, he's explored. He's a being that exists outside of time. So that right there is I mean, that's a very serious threat because if you exist outside of time, then you technically know. Well, you have the potential to tap into all of the probabilities of any type of uh, outcome. Like, just like when Doctor Strange went through the timeline with the Eye of Agamotto and saw the all of the potential outcomes for the fight with Thanos and found the one where they win. Like, Kang has that same ability. So you need someone that can, one, technologically get to his level and is on his level intellectually so that you can figure out a way to combat that. Because like you how how are they gonna stop a multiversal villain? Like, that's the real question. Like, and do it on screen in a compelling way. Like, that's what I'm really, really curious about.
So then, is there no space? There may not be space for Thor right now. This might be the time to
Yeah,
just
that's what I'm saying. Like, that's
a
he's
woman
not
there.
he may not be the one to handle this because that's not necessarily like his thing. Like, we definitely need the Fantastic Four and Reed Richards to make an appearance. And yeah, like, because Von Doom, I think if I'm not mistaken, Kang and Reed Richards are related. They are descendants. I think he is Kang is a descendant of Reed Richards, technically within the comics. So if that connection is still there, then like, yeah, I mean, that's also why that connection is very important
Um,
too. Like the Fantastic Four movie, which is coming out what, 224, 25 or something like that. Like, that's a major movie. I'm thinking that's the next part of this saga, this Kang saga continuation, because they have to introduce a Reed Richards, and how they handle that is going to be very interesting.
I've seen the trailer several times, but I've learned don't pay any attention to anything you see in the Guardians of the Galaxy trailers because all of that is going to happen in the first 10 minutes. And then the rest of the movie is gonna be like, how did I know that was gonna happen from that? So you're absolutely
Uh,
right. They could bring that in there, and we'll just be completely surprised because they do a really good job at giving you absolutely nothing in the trailer, but making you think you're gonna have a lot. That boy Steve asked a good question. He had said Thanos phase 1 through 3, Kang 4 through 6. Who can top them for phase 7 through 9?
Galactus. That would be my go-to. Like, after Kang, you got to go to like Galactus, and actually render him correctly and not make him a storm cloud.
What concerns me is like the stuff that was going on with Moon Knight, and then we know we have Blade coming out, and those are a bit connected. Where do those fit in with these phases? Is that are those going to be projects saved for
I
phase
feel like those are
7 through 9?
they
Or
got to
those,
be sideline projects.
I don't like Blade being sidelined
But
anything.
well, okay, that's not accurate. Like, what it more or less like, he deals with the underworld though. Like, this is not this is not his realm. Like, he's got to deal with other threats. Um, like Agatha, and like that's where Blade is really going to shine. Like, he's got to help on that end, like because he's more so connected with Doctor Strange and like all of the other
Magic.
underworld and magical threats. Like he's more or less with the magic side of the Marvel universe, and he needs to stay. Like they really can do a lot with that and make because there are some really compelling villains on that side as well that need to be handled. If what they can do is instead of having just one like mega villain, like have multiple in these different types of like situations. Like you got your uh your magical villain, you got your cosmic villain, and then you've got a uh like more or less technological villain. Like you still got White Vision and
White Vision.
um what's the I forget the what's the AI, the sentient, the that Tony Stark.
Jarvis?
No, not Jarvis. The other, the evil one,
Oh, Ultron.
Ultron. Like you got that too. Like they're bigger threats than a lot of people. They can make them much bigger threats than they currently are. Like you've got Ultron that can really be something that like you know uh Black Panther, Riri, and all of that. They can kind of exist in that type of hemisphere. Like basically what would normally be a Tony Stark Iron Man type of threat now is like in the Wakanda Black Panther type of hemisphere. Then you've got the mythical magic threats where that's Thor and Blade and all the underworld stuff. And like they can make this a lot more grand than it currently is. Like they don't necessarily have to have a singular villain anymore. Like they can have multiple villains that are equally as threatening, but multiple um different groups of Avengers need to handle those threats. Like the Defenders, for example, like redoing that and doing it correctly, they can become a thing. Like you got the X-Men as well. Like they need their own space. Same as the like you can't cram everybody into the movie as much as we would like to. And I'm sure we will at some point. We'll see everybody on screen, but they can't have all of these characters on screen together at all times. Like you can break this up into groups. Like you can have your Avengers, you can create the Defenders, you can also create the X-Men and all the threats that they're going to face, and Fantastic Four and all of their allies and the villains that they're going to have to fight. Like they've got to start partitioning this a little bit more.
This conversation actually brings up another conversation I had with the Uncool. Shout out to Uncool. We spoke this weekend, and he is itching to know who has been cast for Reed Richards and the Fantastic Four.
Same here.
And
Because
I feel like Marvel is not going to tell us, because the last time they announced a casting for a really big role, there's been nothing but negative behind the scenes news, and they've learned their lesson. And that was when they announced Mahershala Ali for Blade. They announced that way too soon.
yep.
And now our opinion of the movie going into it is going to be negative because we know too much about it. There's no reason that we not only knew who was casted, but that he was uncomfortable with certain people and that some people didn't like this, some people didn't like that. That's not our business. And it kind of messed things up, and where they could have went different was just not saying anything. And so I feel like that's probably the reason why they haven't told us who's going to be Richards yet. Although I still feel like it's going to be John Krasinski because they did it, and why not keep it that way? He did a great job. But regardless, I don't even want them to tell us until they are ready, until there's actually been something filmed, or just let us find out on screen. But I don't want to know. How do you feel?
I mean, I think it would be in their best interest to reveal the cast closer to the film going into production. last rumor I saw was from this weekend. They're starting with Sue Storm, and they'll build the cast out around her, which, given the current state of the MCU, makes sense because you've got to introduce legacy characters this late into the game. Like Reed Richards and the Fantastic Four is they're the first family. Like you've got to really explain where the Fantastic Four have been this entire time because they should have technically been there the entire time. They just didn't have the rights to the characters up until a couple years ago. But now you got to canonically explain why you haven't had these characters in here.
That boy Steve said he don't care what color she is as long as she fine. I'm screaming.
Oh man.
That was funny. Um, didn't Sue Storm and Namor have a little something going on in the comics, and that's why Namor and Reed Richards were beefing because
Man,
Namor
I
liked
would
Sue
not.
Storm. I don't want to say they had something going on. Namor wanted Sue, and Reed was like,
Chill
"Relax,
out.
chill."
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, they always got some type of drama going on between characters and Marvel. Like Marvel can get messy. It can get real messy on the relationship side of things.
Did I say that I wish they would? I'm so tired of all of this positivity and
It's
they
too
try to save the world. Dang. There needs to be a Real Housewives of Atlanta storyline going on just at least once. Like the fact that they just never touched on the relationship between Mystique and Nightcrawler. They tried it a little bit in Apocalypse, X-Men Apocalypse, but they didn't do enough. Like that's some stuff they
yeah.
need to do
Well,
more of that stuff.
they need. That's why X-Men needs to. They have. To me, X-Men needs to exist in on Disney Plus, like a show with a good writer and showrunner that can handle the property well. But because X-Men is really a franchise on its own. Like there's so many characters within the X-Men universe that it really deserves its own space, and you can bring in characters as needed to the other properties. But like that, there's so much to explore with X-Men that it needs to be on its own, and start over there on its own.
I
And you
kind of
can't do movies, like you got to do TV shows, because like as far as nobody, I have yet to come across anybody that would argue that the movies, no matter how you feel about the movies, that the movies are better than the animated TV shows. I've never heard anybody make that argument. Like the animated TV show
about
are
Marvel or
superior.
DC.
Yeah, like they're superior to the films that have come out so far. Regarding X-Men, like yeah, like it, because it needs to be a longer format so that you can have proper character development that you need for each of these characters, because they're really well written characters.
Side note, Marvel, if you watching, y'all need to call me because I have a great show idea. I binge watched My Hero Academia and I just had an idea for like a high school set show for the students. The show was just about the students on some Degrassi slash My Hero Academia stuff where it's like they're just regular teenagers going through teenage stuff, but they also have powers. So like we got the drama and they probably have to save the world a little bit because they're not listening to their teachers and doing what they're supposed to do and involving themselves in mess that they're not supposed to be in. But like how cool would that be? And put it on Hulu so they could curse.
Yeah, no, for real though, that's a great idea. Like, because they do need to appeal to, like, really, they need to key in uh the younger, like the Gen Z, Gen X, like not Gen X. What is it? The or what are they? Alphas,
Gen Z?
Gen Z, and then it's the generation behind them. Whatever, they need to keep, like, that's because they need to have the younger X-Men. They need, to your point, they need to be in school. Like they need to appeal to the younger kids, but not make it like too childish. But those high schooler, young adult crowd that is on the in the MCU, like that's kind of sort of where it needs to gear towards. And they can do that with X-Men because they have so many characters and you can have so many different ideas, and uh you have a plethora of characters to kind of explore different character, well, you know, just young adult issues.
What's the movie that came out? New Mutants? Like if they could do New Mutants, but in school,
Yeah, yeah.
I,
Because
I
I
stand
didn't.
by it
I
was
still
nothing
stand by.
wrong with New Mutants.
I I enjoyed New Mutants. I thought New Mutants, they gave New Mutants way too much crap. Like it should have gotten a lot more attention than what it got. I think a lot of the bad rap came from around the delays and the production drama, not the actual film itself, because the film was pretty entertaining. It was one of the better mutant movies that we've gotten ever. Like it was better than all of the those last few X-Men movies that we got.
Yeah, and I mean, after Logan came out, I think that was a great response to Logan. I think that was the next X-Men project, or at least it flowed directly from Logan, and that there were an overlap of characters. I thought it was great, but
Yeah,
yes, the uncool, very messy, Degrassi level messy, but they got
I could get with that.
Disney would never. That I know off top. They can't get to Degrassi level messy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're gonna have to find out with the Deadpool,
I'm
because
excited for that.
if they did acknowledge that yes, Deadpool 3 will be R rated. We'll see how hard of an R they're gonna give. If they let Deadpool
How hard of an
be
R.
Deadpool, like the first two films were, if they just let it, if they let those writers do what they've been doing and let it slide, like I don't see why they can't do more R-rated and more mature content on like the other platforms. Like they don't have to put everything in theaters. Like they don't have to pivot and make more. They can. You got Disney Plus, you got Hulu, you got all these other platforms that are under the Disney umbrella. Like use those more mature platforms to create more mature content for different types of audiences. Like it's you have a diversity of a wide variety of ages. Like you can create content for all of these different age groups on different platforms that are still within your umbrella. Like I don't understand why they don't use that, the reach that they have, to make a lot of these shows happen. Like I know people say, "Oh, you can't please everybody," but Disney is in a good position to do get
Whatever.
at least close to it. Like I mean, yeah, people are going to have issues with whatever they put out, but they can they can for sure make content that is geared to a wider variety of audiences than they're currently appealing to. And they're going to have to, because if DC under James Gunn does start to uh kick into high gear and starts knocking things out the park, then that's going to really put they're going to have to rise to the occasion, because like they're DC's, I guarantee you James Gunn's not really going to care about making quote unquote family friendly content all the time with DC. Like it's going to be far more mature than what we're getting on Marvel. Yeah, we'll get some stuff for that's a little bit more friendly, family friendly, but it's not. You know, I think over 60% of that content is going to be for like 20 plus.
Yeah, I've already decided these movies coming out this year were planned before James Gunn got involved. So I'm not going to judge the future of the DCEU on him based on those films, but what I am giving him credit for is the Peacemaker show. I've said it once, I'll say it a million times. Peacemaker was fantastic. I loved that show. And if that's what he did with Peacemaker, I'm just going to put my trust in him and say that he's going to go crazy on the rest of the projects that he announced. And I agree, Marvel's going to have to respond to that.
Yep.
Because I agree. I don't think they can stay family friendly for too long. And the fact that they own every damn thing, put a rated R show on a TV mature show on Hulu. If you don't want to have it on the Disney Plus platform, not most of us, but a lot of people are already paying for the bundle. I know I am. I got ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Disney Plus, and use them interchangeably.
Yeah,
Put
same,
the show on Hulu.
same.
It's
I mean, I've got the bundle. I think most people have the bundle. I mean, the bundle is the most economic thing to do if you're going to
they
get
offer you
Disney.
for like $2 more, you get the entire bundle. You might as well just
Yeah, like it's economically it's sound to just go ahead and get the bundle. Like even if I don't even go on ESPN Plus. I don't know what it offers, but I mean that two
you watch
dollars is
A&T
like
games on there.
watch what?
I can watch A&T games on there. That's the only reason why I use it. Watch.
Okay, word. Yeah, like because I mean I got YouTube TV, so like most of the TV shows that I want to watch are in sports shows I can watch on YouTube TV. But like, yeah, getting some of those college games would be great because I would like to see A&T because I know our girls basketball team is doing pretty good. I think they're tied for second in the CAA right now.
Nice.
So
That
yeah,
was asked a question. He says, seriously asking, can y'all ever see Marvel and DC under the same ownership? I can see it with how goofy DC is going or doing overall. Can I see Disney being interested in purchasing DC? Did I say that right? Disney being interested in purchasing DC? Yes, I can. Hopefully it would go the same way that Disney trying to buy Twitter went, because I don't want Disney to own DC. I don't want them making it lighter. I like that it's gritty. I like that it's dirty. But yes, I can see it happening. I can see Disney offering a number that's crazy enough for them to say yes to. I just don't want it to happen.
yep, agreed. I think it's first of all Disney could afford to purchase like almost anything that they wanted to, as far as like especially within entertainment. There's nothing that they couldn't buy. They could afford to buy any property on the market right now if it went for sale. So could I see that happening? Yes. Would it work? It would all depend on who they install to head up DC. Like I think that James Gunn is going to do a really good job over there. So we'll see. Hopefully, if they can steer clear or steer through this troubled water and start putting out great content consistently that appeals to the fan base and the wider audience, then DC will be fine. Like I don't think that DC. I think DC is in a better position right now than they were 3 years ago, 2 years ago, but like basically before the pandemic. Like DC, because of the of James Gunn's involvement at this point and the plan that they've laid out, is a much more sound plan than what they had going for them previously. We'll see how the content actually fares, but I don't think that it's going to be any worse. They can't get it really can't get any worse than it has been over the past decade. So like, you know,
As long as Ezra Miller don't go to jail again, they'll be. I
yeah,
have a theory that they got him under lock and key somewhere. Just put him here. Don't let him out, because we have not seen this
we hadn't seen or heard. Yeah. Like they got him under wraps.
They
Like
got him in a padded room with security and 24-hour room service.
are they wait, are or them maybe? Because I it is Ezra. I thought maybe is Ezra non-binary. I think he might
Yes,
be
I do apologize for misgendering you and using the wrong
they.
pronouns. I should be saying they. 100% correct. I do apologize, Ezra Miller. Regardless of how you were acting, that is not an excuse for me to use your wrong pronouns. They be acting a mess. Excuse me, they're acting a darn fool all the time, and DC absolutely has them under wraps.
Yeah,
They are not allowed to go outside. Paparazzi cannot see them for anything. Keep them hidden.
yeah. They was
I took
they
my
was they was definitely tripping.
mother and my mom to see Quantumania the second time, and they played the Flash trailer, and my grandma was like, "Aren't they in jail?" Like
Yeah,
that's what DC is fighting against right now.
and like the crazy. I mean, the trailer does look good. That's the thing. Like, because I saw the trailer during played for the Super Bowl, and I was like, wow, that actually looked really good. Like I can't even front because I was like, I don't even want to see this movie. I'm still probably gonna wait till it's in on streaming till it's on HBO Max, but like at least it looked good.
I know we got to see the movie and stream it and talk about it.
Because the thing is, like, right, like one of the things about that movie is been like, hey, all this drama surrounding it, they didn't want to cancel it, and like seeing that trailer, it's like, well, I can kind of see why they didn't want to cancel it because it looks pretty good. And if it is as good as the trailer looked, then like it might be able to make them some money. They might be able to recoup some of those funds.
And they said they're going to use that film to just
Reset everything.
reset everything. So
I'm assuming it does a good.
reset everything without releasing the movie. But side note,
Hopefully, it
Super
does a
that
good
was
job of that.
Supergirl.
Yes,
She looked really cool.
yes, she did.
She
She
looked
did.
really dope.
She did. But it's been an hour. We did a review. We're going off into other topics because this is supposed to be a Quantumania show. But we
Also,
only, I mean, we did really good. That was only like what the 4 or 5 minute spill on onto DC, but it was all connected.
do we have any final thoughts on Quantumania? Any last opinions?
I think overall, I mean, Ant Man has been pretty consistent. Like I think was Peyton Reed has been the heading up the Ant Man films. He's done a fantastic job. He definitely, in my opinion, deserves to get more if he can if he wants to do more stuff within the Marvel universe. I think they should definitely give him some more properties, especially if he's passionate about those. Because I think he's fairly passionate about um, Ant Man. At least that comes through. He has a good understanding of the property and of the character in that area. If he wants to stay and do more Ant Man stuff, that's perfectly fine too. But if he wants to do more, I'm saying they should let him do more.
I completely agree. And this might be like one of the most solid third films. Like that's a weird label to have. Previously we I don't know if we ranked sequels, but we definitely had like a best sequels conversation. I think we might have to rank some trilogies because there are quite a few, not just superhero trilogies, but just trilogies all around and just see how they compare. And I think Ant-Man might be up there on that list. But as for how Quantumania was, I thoroughly enjoyed it, paid to see it twice, would watch it again. Wish the world was a little bit nicer about it. It was a great film. I don't have too many complaints. And my favorite character was the guy who didn't have any holes because when he finally got a hole, he came out with it. That was really cool and funny.
That was hilarious. That was pretty funny. Like I thought they used him so well throughout the movie, like
Yes,
as
when he
comedic
jumped
relief.
off the ship and screamed "Revolution!" that like he was all of the comic relief that they needed. That was fantastic.
Yeah, he handled the comedic relief very well. Like he was the appropriate character for that. I think that overall, I don't know if this is necessarily a theatrical experience. Like this, I don't think that this for me it wasn't a must see in theaters type of movie, especially coming off of like Avatar 2. Like that being Avatar 2 being the last movie I saw in theaters, and then seeing this, it's like, ooh, kind of a drop off there. I wouldn't necessarily say that this is a blockbuster must see in theater movie. So if you can see it, definitely go see it. It's definitely worth watching. But for the people who are more cautious about going out still because of COVID, I think it's if you feel more comfortable watching this one at home, I definitely think that it won't take away from the experience for you as long as you got a big enough TV. Uh, wasn't the most remarkable visually stunning film that Marvel has done, but it's still within their standard. But they didn't do anything too crazy, in my opinion, on the visual side. It's pretty on par with what Marvel has done in the past. So other than that, I don't really.
Better than Thor.
Yeah, for sure, for
Better
sure.
than
I wouldn't recommend anybody go see Thor in theaters at all. I don't think I did. if it were still in theaters, I still wouldn't like it. Go. That's definitely if you want to watch that one, wait for it to come out on Disney Plus. Is that on Disney Plus yet? I don't know.
It should be
If Black Panther is, so that one should be on
out.
there too.
Yeah, I can check real quick. But other than that, are we good?
Yeah, we're good. Closing remarks. Before you do your closing, yes. Mandalorian season 3 comes out next week. There
Really?
might be, yes, there might be a special episode next week. Either I'm not committing to a live stream, but I will definitely, at minimum, put out a video, which I think I can manage on that show because that one is I'm Mandalorian and Andor are like peak Star Wars for me right now, as far as the current content coming out. So like, I'm looking forward to watching that and talking about it. So, if I do a live stream, I'll definitely let everybody know. But I can commit to doing a video review for the channel about that, and I can do one for each episode. Like, I don't think that's going to be too much of a hassle for me. So, yeah, definitely be on the lookout for that.
Dat boy Steve, please hold on to those trilogy talks. We might have to have that conversation next week now that
Yeah,
fresh on our minds. But definitely keep that list because there are a few others. There's a 1 million Fast and Furious movies, but I guess we'll just be talking about one
you
through
can't. That's not.
Blade. I
That
mean,
don't count.
count. Even if you put them
No,
into
I'm talking about Fast and Furious. Like, that's not a trilogy. That's like a saga.
well, we'll just talk about one Fast and the Furious, two Fast and Furious, and Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. We'll just talk about those and stop it right there. Stop it right there. It's crazy that I know all of them. Also, they put the Fast 10 trailer in there. It was looking kind of hot. I don't know if y'all saw it, so we might have to talk about that next week too. Thor: Love and Thunder is on Disney Plus. But as always, thank you for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please join us on Discord. We are having these conversations all the time. The link is in the description bar down below. Also down there, you have a link to buy us some coffee. Please, if you'd love to support us, buy us some coffee. And then follow us on social at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch at Certified Gumbo. You see, I got it back.
Damn, we back. We're back in business.
I'm back. Sorry, Ezra Miller, for misgendering you again. My bad.
And as I always say, peace, love, blessings, and may the force be with you always.